If your Raise3D Pro3 rear fan sounds like this, which coincidentally kind of sounds like this, then I've got the fix for you. What's up? You're watching Degreeless Engineering, a channel where we engineer using experience. On this episode, we're going to talk about swapping out that rear fan for something that's much quieter. Let's get into it. So one of the most common complaints about the Raise3D Pro3 are the fans. They run all the time and they're too noisy. The two front extruder fans run non-stop. There's no way to turn them off. The filtration fan on the rear runs non-stop, although it's relatively quiet. And the fan that we're talking about today, the auxiliary cooling fan, may as well be, like I said, an air raid siren. It is extremely noisy. And if you're anything like me, this printer is in an office environment where I cannot have that much noise. I'll drive the person next to me in the cubicle crazy. It is too loud. So I started doing some research. What I found on the Raise3D forum is there are a few people, so this isn't a unique idea to me, that have been swapping out the rear fans with a 24 volt Noctua fan. That model that I chose was the Noctua NF F12. It's a 24 volt 2000 RPM fan. Now, looking at the data sheet provided on that same forum, I found that the fan that was in there was a 3000 RPM fan on the OEM for the Raise3D. Quite a bit of a difference there. Knowing what I know about Noctua fans, however, is that they are quite a bit more efficient at cooling than most typical off-the-shelf run-of-the-mill cheap Chinese fan. So I took the plunge. So I'm going to go through this step-by-step process of how I went about removing the original fan, some issues I came across with this assembly, and installing the fan, which is really easy. I feel very confident that most anybody can do it. So we're going to go through the whole disassembly, reassembly with the new fan, some issues that I came across with the disassembly, reassembly, and overall what the results were as far as noise level and overall performance. So prior to disassembly, I wanted to get some baseline numbers. I did testing without the rear auxiliary cooling fan running. So it's basically just the front extruder fans that run all the time, and using a noise level app off of whatever, the Google Play Store.
All right, but first you'll have to unlock your device.
Anyways, initial testing with just the front fans was about 70.5 with just the fans on the front of the extruders running. With the rear fan, it jumped up to almost 80 decibels. The safe recommended level, which is at the point of hearing loss, is 85. So while this may not cause hearing loss, it will likely drive you out of your mind. I know it did me. So with those baseline numbers, we started the disassembly. First thing I wanted to do was power off the machine, rotate it into a position where I could easily access the rear fan cover, and start with the removal process of that. Running off of memory alone, I think it was about 6 screws holding the rear cover on. Once I got those 6 screws off is when it got really exciting. What I found was there were 4 screws holding the fan on. 3 out of 4 of the heat set inserts where they were inserted were cracked. The plastic was cracked around it, like they were over torqued. Mind you, I have never been in the backside of this printer at all. I haven't touched this fan. I didn't even know what it looked like inside of there until I opened it up at this point in time. So 3 out of 4 of the heat set inserts were pretty much broken out or breaking the plastic to where the plastic surrounding the heat set insert was literally crumbling out of it. Yet another win for Raise3D. That being said, the inserts were in there securely enough to where it would hold the fan on, and plus I had at least one of them in the upper right hand corner, if I recall, that were holding just fine. So If you do take this rear cover off, just be mindful that that might be an issue for you. When you go to take the fan off, if you notice pieces of plastic start falling out, don't panic. There's always another way. You can epoxy the heat sets back into place, super glue, anything to kind of hold them in place if they actually do completely come out, which they did not for me, luckily. And they seem to hold well enough to where they weren't going, the fan wasn't going to completely fall off. It's not like it's driving down the highway, but it would be nice if Raise3D would stop breaking their shit when they're putting it together. That would be really great. That'd be a great start. It would be really great if Raise3D made a printer that wasn't a piece of. So it's not exactly the kind of quality I would expect out of a $5,000 machine for where the fastener is attached, that plastic to already be broken, and I haven't even touched it. So that's kind of a letdown, but ultimately I was able to get it to work. So just keep it in mind. So I wanted to show you a quick shot of the rear or the actual filtration fan that is basically supposed to be drawing the, what do they call it? HCFCs, hydrocarbon something. It's bad. You don't want to breathe it. That filter fan is running all the time. I don't think you can turn that one off either. However, it's not very loud. It's not nearly as loud as the other fans. To be completely honest, I didn't even know it was running. Kind of cool to know that that fan's running nonstop. Maybe you already knew that. I did not. So once you get the original fan removed, you're going to need to cut a bit of the harness off of the fan itself to be able to either solder or crimp to connect, which is what I did, to the new fan. So black to black negative, red to yellow is positive. The fan that you're going to get, if you get the same one that I did, is a 4-wire. It's got signal, communication, all this stuff that you're not going to need that. You just need the power wires. So you're just going to need the black and the yellow. Once you get everything connected, go ahead and start putting everything back together. You can test it if you'd like before reassembly, but as long as you have the colors correct, everything is going to be fine. It should operate as it should, but it never hurts to test. I did. So once I completed the installation, turned the machine back on, got everything ready, basically manually turned on the auxiliary cooling fan, and to my surprise, it couldn't even pick up the fan at all. It was still only reading the front extruder fans, and to be completely honest, I didn't even know it was running. I couldn't tell it was running until I reached my hand back there and felt the air blowing. It's that much quieter. You won't hear it at all. The front fans on the extruder are much, much louder than the Noctua fan by far. That being said, does it cool as well as the original fan, it being about 1,000 RPM slower? Maybe, maybe not, but ultimately the big thing is I wanted something to use. I wanted to be able to use it without driving myself and people around me crazy. And from what I've done as far as testing, cooling properties on that side of the part, because it's only cooling one side of the part, have greatly increased. If you're concerned about it running too slow or not being as fast, it does work. And of course with PLA, Raise3D recommends having the top cover up anyway, so that in combination with the fan, you're gravy. I'm going to put a link to the Noctua fan below if you'd like to purchase one of your own. I think the price ranges around 30 to 35 bucks. Don't quote me on that. In this economy, anything is possible. I think overall, for the price, for the ease of installation, and overall huge noise reduction with the added benefit of being able to use the fan and it actually works, that's a win-win. We did it and you can do it too. Thanks for watching. Again, this is Degreeless Engineering, a channel where we engineer using experience. If you got any questions, comments, or concerns, drop them in the comment section below. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you later.